Hello and welcome to another episode of Moose's Gear Goo Review. I'm Moose, and today we have another knife review. And that knife is the Cold Steel Tuff Lite. The Cold Steel Tuff Lite. So sweet. I got this knife, as you saw in one of my Cairn Box unboxing, as a Secret Santa gift from one of my coworkers. Super stoked when I got it. So I'll read over some specs and let you know it's a little dirty, so I apologize for that. The overall length of the knife is 6 inches. The blade length is 2.5 inches. The blade thickness is 0.11 inches. The handle length is 3.5 inches. The overall weight, which is really nice, is 2.5 ounces. So yeah, that's basically it. Now looking at the knife, it's pretty unique looking knife. When it's closed, it looks kind of cool, simple, has a large lanyard hole there, but we'll get into that. So looking at the blade, it is a Warncliffe or kind of sheep's foot style blade, where it comes out and heavily drops. There's no upswing to it, not much belly, actually no belly at all. So it's a straight edge blade, very flat, no belly. It is hollow grind, and it's a satin finish, and it just comes wicked sharp. Like, I don't even know what to say. On the top of the blade, there is some jimping for a sure thumb grip. We have a large kind of oval thumb opening hole, which is the way it is deployed. And the base of the blade there turns into a forward finger choil for a sure grip. There's also a small choil right at the bottom to help sharpen this blade, which is also excellent. So yeah, I think the most attractive thing about this knife is the fact that you have a continuous curve along the spine. The fact that the blade is just straight. It's not very conventional. It's kind of odd looking compared to most standard utility knives and whatnot. And because of that, it's just an attractive look. Now, when you see these two deep finger choils here, and you put it in your hand, your forefinger and your middle finger just lock in there, and it is just fantastic. An excellent feel to the grip. It's very secure in the hand. The other thing, you can tell that this is a very cool knife that works great for anyone in a utility role. So I use it a lot at work, specifically for cutting boxes. It's almost like a glorified box cutter. You can just drag the point through stuff. This knife came razor sharp from Cold Steel. They always do an excellent job of making sure their knives come sharp. But super cool, works fantastic for box cutting, slicing, and because it's such a short, stout blade, you can actually do some pretty precise cuts and change angles and stuff. So it's really cool. I absolutely love this thing. It is called Tuff Lite, partly because it does offer Cold Steel's triad lock back or mid back lock. So the triad lock is just rock solid, no up or down, no side to side. It's just rock solid. The handle is made of Grivery, and when you look inside, there are no steel liners other than the washers, the stop pins, the pins there, and then the triad lock mechanism, which really keeps the weight on this knife really low. But the Grivery is thick, and you can just hear it. It's super solid. There's a small divot inside here that works, I guess, if you're cutting anything. They used to call that like a blood groove. But two, you can kind of lock your finger into that divot for a better grip as well. The only negative is that divot then also sinks the pocket clip in, which is a good and bad thing. I mean, you're going to have a really solid grip in your pocket with this stout little pocket clip. So the likelihood of your pants of it falling out is highly unlikely. The grip on the Gryvery handle is textured enough that you have grip, but there's no real smooth spots. It has that wide lanyard hole, so you could double up paracord or whatever, put it through there, easy take on or put on, take off. There's some jimping on the back of the handle as well. And if you look at that pocket clip again, it's beautiful satin pocket clip. It is a right or left tip down carry only. The centering is perfect, and this is an excellent ambidextrous knife for any left or right hand carry or right or left-handed people. Deployment's super easy with that thumb hole, and it's just great. Now the only ding on it, and it isn't even that bad of a ding, is the AUS 8. The blade steel is AUS 8. I would love to see this knife in something better. If there is a BD1 blade steel of this, I would go bonkers, because I love that steel. But that being said, it's a fantastic blade for what it is, and the price is right. I believe it's under like around $35 at the time that I made this video. So keep an eye out for it. And I know that I saw on Blade HQ that for a while they offered it in a couple of different colors as well. So like a high-vis green and a high-vis orange. So super cool. But that being said, let's compare it to some other knives just to give you guys an idea of what it's similar to. I'll line up the handles. We got the 556 Benchmade mini grip. We have the Kershaw Camber in S30V. Love that knife. We have the Benchmade North Fork in S30V, and then we have the special edition CRKT carbon fiber Sandvik Squid. So now, as you can see, these knives are all a little bit bigger than the Tuff Lite. Clearly, the Camber is the longest blade out of the run here. But handle-wise as well, Tuff Lite has a smaller handle, a smaller blade, which makes sense. It doesn't have the largest cutting surface, just because part of the blade is made up into that choil. But that's really not a problem for what this knife is designed for. So that being said, we'll check out the thickness of the blade stock. It looks like the Tuff Lite might be ever so slightly thicker than the Camber, which is a great knife. It's thicker than the mini grip. Might be slightly thicker than the North Fork, and thicker than the carbon fiber Squid. So pretty sweet. Definitely a stout, sturdy, robust feeling little knife. It is hollow grind, so it stays wicked sharp, and so when you sharpen this bad boy up, it just slices. But that being said, we only got one test left, and that is the ugly brown glove test. Now, most backlock knives, you're going to use a two-handed close mechanism, but because they have this forward finger choil, when it closes, as long as your finger's in that secondary choil there, it won't cut. But I recommend using two hands at all times. But with the ugly brown glove test, we're here to see if this knife is usable with a clumsy cloth bulky glove. Give you some idea if it's good for use with gloves in general. So right away, the Gryvery handles are a little slick, especially with these cloth gloves, but I feel if there's any sort of textured grip or pattern or even leather type of glove, it should hold fine in hand. I still have some grip. Then to open it, the thumb hole is definitely big enough. Clearly opened it well. The jimping is a little smooth for the cloth glove, but it's enough. And the two finger choils really help me lock in that hand. So it works fine there. Then closing it, one hand possible. Just be careful with the back lock. It's a very strong lock, and so it definitely snaps closed once it reaches a certain point. But other than that, this would be a great little knife to have, especially if it's like a secondary backup knife, if you have a larger tool, or just something quick to cut zip ties or cut open boxes or whatever. So awesome, awesome little knife. So does it pass the Ugly Brown glove test? I'd say yes. I'd give it about an 80% on the Ugly Brown glove test. I've had much better, but it's definitely usable and it works great. So that being said, guys, check out the Cold Steel Tuff Lite knife. It says Cold Steel on the back. It's made in Taiwan, AUS 8, and it's branded with the Tuff Lite little label there. I know that Cold Steel has a couple of other little knives in their Lite series, I believe, or their Tough series. I don't know which one it is, but it's similar as far as having the blade with the Gravity handles, just in different shapes and designs, but they're really good. And if you want something that's rock steady and locks solid, definitely check out the Triad lock from Cold Steel. But that is the Cold Steel Tuff Lite. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Click the eye in the upper right-hand corner for other videos that I do, and I do an unboxing as well. And stay tuned, and I'll see you guys outside.